Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Signs of spring are here. I know my daffodils are starting to bloom, which is very exciting. I always look forward to that early bloom. Tulips will be here before we know it. My name's Amy Densborn. I'm the Outreach Administrator for SWACO, and I'm joined today by Ron at Ohio Mulch. He is their Director of Retail Sales, and he we'll be talking a little bit more about Ohio Mulch and the work that they do to recycle all of our yard waste here in Franklin County. So for those who are new to the GoToWebinar platform, a couple quick reminders of how to navigate it. You have a control panel that allows you to ask questions. So if you click on the question icon, you can ask a question at any point in time. I'll be answering everybody's questions at the end of today's webinar. And then I have one handout today that I'm sharing the slides from today's presentation. You're welcome to double click on the handouts and those will download directly to your laptop. If you're having issues, don't worry about it. Email me after today's call and I'll be happy to send them your way. All right, so for those who are maybe new to SWACO, I'm not sure exactly our role here in the county. SWACO is a solid waste district. We're responsible for reducing reliance on landfills. We service all of Franklin County. That's 1.3 million residents and growing. And one of the flagship programs that SWACO helps to sponsor is the curbside yard waste program that Ohio Mulch accepts and turns your yard waste, your yard clippings, your limbs, your leaves into valuable mulch that then they have the ability to resell. We also offer a number of other programs, everything from grant funding to help communities, nonprofits, help them recycle and compost more, to special collection events for hazardous materials and yard signs, to even offering a public drop-off program for all recyclables. That's free to folks who don't have access to recycling. If you want to learn more about SWACO's programs, check out swaco.org. So the reality is more waste is being generated every single day in our community. We're a growing community, which more people typically means more trash. On average, our local landfill here in Franklin County receives about 1.2 million tons of trash every single year. The good news is, as a community, we are diverting about 54% of the waste that we create as a county. So what that means is that all the waste we create, our homes, our businesses, 54% of it goes on to be reused, recycled, or composted. That's really encouraging because the national average is about 34%. So keep up the great work, Franklin County. When it comes to the material that we receive inside the landfill, we have one landfill that accepts all municipal solid waste here in Franklin County, and 3/4 of it could have been reused, recycled, or composted. So today's webinar is really to cover yard waste. And while yard waste makes up a very small portion of the waste stream, yard waste is a valuable nutrient. Doesn't really belong in the landfill. And we work closely with Ohio Mulch, and they have a robust program in place to make use of all those valuable nutrients that you remove from your yard. They have the ability to convert it and transform it into a valuable mulch. So Ohio Mulch is doing the hard work for you if you're not interested in doing any of the composting yourself in your own backyard. No judgment, to each their own. Some people don't have the time or the backyard, I will say, to even do the composting on their own. So Ohio Mulch is doing that for us, and we're very thankful for their partnership. Some of the benefits of composting, this can even extend to composting your food scraps as well. Ohio Mulch, through the curbside program, they do not want your food scraps. So this would be only if you were doing food scraps in your backyard, in a bin, or if you were taking your food scraps to a drop-off location in your community. But in general, when we compost organic material, we're saving precious landfill space. We have about 38 years of life left on the landfill. We'd love to get even more time on that landfill, because keep in mind, when this landfill fills up, we have to find the space to build a new landfill. And there's really no reason to discard valuable nutrients like your leaves and your yard trimmings if they can be composted. We're going to save money on landfill tipping fees for the community. So when you recycle or compost your yard trimmings, that helps save the bottom line dollar on tipping yard waste at the landfill. It is more expensive to tip at the landfill than it is to compost. When you do compost your yard waste, you are helping to improve soil quality. So compost improves water retention, the soil structure, and the ability for the soil to store nutrients. This is really important on our very heavy clay soil area. And then finally, this is going to also help reduce greenhouse gases that we generate here in Franklin County. When yard waste goes to the landfill, it does not break down quickly, okay? And when it does break down, it's slowly degrading and being eaten by bacteria that generates methane gas. SWACO does have a methane gas mitigation system in place to capture it, but we would still rather the yard waste and the organic material be turned into fertilizer, compost, or even mulch that would go right back into the earth. So there are a number of diversion opportunities when it comes to yard waste. Many communities, and I'm seeing some great questions already coming in the chat about what to do with curbside, where the curbside material should go. So many communities do offer curbside collection when it comes to yard waste. Typically, you can bag it in a brown paper bag, or you can place it in a clearly marked container that says yard waste. And then if you don't live in a community that offers yard waste curbside service, you can take it to one of the many drop-off locations, and Ohio Mulch is going to tell us more about that here shortly. So I mentioned this earlier, yard waste does have a prepping process, and this is to ensure they're taking the correct material when they come to service your materials. They don't want to accidentally grab the recycling or accidentally grab the trash that's truly destined for the landfill. So make sure you're placing your yard waste in brown paper bags or a container marked yard waste. So my house, I just used an old broken trash can that had a crack in it. It was no longer suitable for my trash service, but it's a-okay for the yard waste. So you don't have to make a big investment. You could just use an old can that you have lying around. If you have a lot of branches, like there's maybe a big storm, something that caused the trees to lose some of their branches, make sure you're bundling them with strings and make sure they're no bigger than 3 feet by 2 feet. That makes it easier on the people processing and handling those materials. The bags, the bundles, and the containers should not exceed more than 50 pounds. I know it's very tempting to throw a bunch of wet leaves in a container and then it gets very heavy. Think about the folks that are servicing those bins and those bags. Someone has to pick those up. So try to keep them under 50 pounds if possible. And it's truly only organic material. So Ohio Mulch is going to have some pictures of the different kinds of items that get thrown away and get commingled with the brown paper bags that don't belong. Essentially, if it has grown in your yard, you can place it in your bin. So this could even include trimmings from like the garden when you're removing your garden. At the end of the year, this is your juniper trimmings when you're trimming those back, your leaves when you rake the leaves, and even cleaning up during spring season. All of that material is a-okay. So we just went over this, leaves, grass clippings, twigs, weeds and brushes and shrubs are a-okay. Ohio Mulch does not have the ability to process pet waste or food. They are not one of those licensed facilities that can handle that material. They cannot compost dirt or rocks. Plastics are also a big offender at their facility. And then they would really prefer you don't bag any of your organic material inside a plastic bag. let's think about it, right? If we put our organic material in a plastic bag, that plastic is going to get all mixed up and tangled in with all of the finished compost or the finished mulch. That's not what we want. They don't want plastic in the finished mulch product. So Ohio Mulch is one of those facilities, and I'm gonna turn over to Ron here to tell us more about Ohio Mulch, that you can drop off materials to if you don't have curbside, as well as Comtil. Comtil is another location here in our county. It's on the south side of Columbus. They will accept woody debris only for free. So they don't want grass clippings, but if you just cut down a big tree, they will gladly accept your large tree stumps and twigs, which I believe, Ron, you don't want logs or material over 10 inches. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Just because of we have the process, so we'll take larger size wood. Just the length of those 8-foot, 10-foot length makes it cumbersome to handle. But the big round wood that we can take, up to 25, 35 inches, we can take that product. But just the length of that product is the concern.
So what's the maximum length?
8 feet.
8 feet. And then is the maximum diameter still 10 inches?
No, we'll take products that are up to 24 to 36 inches in diameter as well.
And are there fees for those larger items?
Yes, there are fees for the larger items due to the process that it takes. A lot of that comes in from mostly the tree companies as well. Not much,
right,
because they didn't have the ability to handle that size.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're a resident, you probably aren't handling that kind of material unless you're a do-it-yourself sort of person cutting down your own tree. So keep that in mind as a resident if you're taking your material to a local Ohio Mulch for drop-off. All right, Ron, so I want to turn over to you to tell us more about your operations at Ohio Mulch and how long you've been with them.
Well, Amy, I do appreciate it very much. We're at Ohio Mulch are proud to be part of this important program. I've been with Ohio Mulch going on 18 years in the director of retail sales, and we're just proud to be part of the program that is going to allow the sustainability to go on, as you said about the landfill life. How do we sustain that? And we can sustain that by extracting things that are so important that we can reuse and be a high benefit to the people who take those off of their property, and they can resource them and reuse them as well. So I think it's an important thing. Since 1984, Ohio Mulch has been providing a wide variety of landscape products to Central Ohio landscapers and residents. We've been inspired since the infancy stages of our company. Our owner has looked at sustainability as an important factor moving forward. And we've even came up with a cleaner, greener, better approach and our focus on all that we do. We're proud to play a part in keeping yard waste out of the landfills. And I think that's the key component. So as we look at the drop-off locations, we have multiple drop-off locations here in the Columbus and surrounding areas. We have one located at 537 Reynoldsburg New Albany Road in Blacklick, Ohio. We have one at 4665 Westerville Road in Columbus, 2541 Harrisburg Pike in Grove City, 4120 Roberts Road, and we have 1600 Universal Road, Columbus, Ohio. And the final one is 4480 Winchester Pike, Columbus, Ohio as well. So it gives a variety of the spectrum of Columbus and different locations throughout the city that they can drop off their yard waste, and then we can repurpose that as well.
And then these are all free sites for Franklin County residents, Ron, correct?
That is correct, yes. They're all free sites to drop off.
What if someone comes from outside Franklin County? What do you think they should expect?
If they come into outside of the Franklin County, there is a charge depending upon the size of the trucks, the size of the debris. It'll go from $48.50 to a higher price predicated on the size, as we spoke earlier about the 32-inch, the over 20-inch size material. There is a increased price for that as well.
And is that 48.50 cents a ton?
48.50 cents for the whole load, whatever they drop off.
Okay, so it's could be a
So if
small
they
load,
come in
could be
with a pickup truckload, it's 48.50. Even if it's a lot of landscapers will bring in their pickups and where they take it off of customers' yards, they'll bring it to us, and that's when that fee is applicable if they're outside the geographic range.
okay, that's helpful. Yeah, so share a little bit more about, I know I talked a little bit about the do's and don'ts, but tell us a little bit more about Ohio Mulch's criteria.
The criteria is we take grass clippings, leaves, twigs, branches, shrubs, brush, etc. One of the things that we try to do is make sure that all the products that we produce are safe and safe to be reused. And that's why it's vitally important that we don't take pressure treated lumbers, railroad ties, or painted material. A lot of people will try to bring in OSB plywood, which has glue and adhesives in it. And those things don't make they don't make for a clean green product moving forward. They have a lot of contaminants in there that could be harmful. We try to take no material over 8 feet in length, 10-inch in diameter. The 10-inch in diameter is usually what comes in most residential formats. A lot of bigger trees will come in through tree companies and landscaping companies as well, which is the sizes that we had spoke to most often come in from them. There may be a different a charge that's applicable for any of that large wood that comes in from those carriers. Most problematic issues that we see that come into our sites are flower pots, the plastic flower pots or the metal flower pots that come in. You need to make sure that those are removed. We'll take the debris within that, the plant, the material, and the soil. Plastic bags, making sure that we use paper bags for the biodegradable and sustainability part. Metal particles, most dangerous as it causes damage to equipment. As we produce that, those metal particles will run through those equipment and cause damage because they're high-speed grinders that make that really fine, nice material. Separating organic wood like lumber, plywood, and pressure-treated materials are essential to us providing a high-quality product that doesn't form any threats to animals, pets, or children.
And then I believe, Ron, this photo was snapped here on the slide within the past few days at one of your Ohio Mulch sites.
Yes, that was dropped off. And the problem that we run into is they are a biodegradable bag, but within that biodegradable bag, the problems that we have established in the past are that when they're cleaning up their yard, they'll pick up paper, they'll pick up trash, they'll pick up metal, they're picking them up, they're putting it in their biodegradable bags. The problem that you run into is that most of the time these bags broke open when they hit the ground and we were able to see it and recover it and throw it away in the appropriate containers. The problem with it is once that material gets into our high-speed grinders, it creates havoc for that material that's produced in that run. So basically, when you take a piece of paper and you hit it with a high-powered grinder, that it goes into thousands of pieces and then contaminates a bunch of material as well.
Is there any sort of screening process to screen out plastics before it's shredded, before the yard waste is shredded?
Well, typically they're in the biodegradable bags, so we're letting them age once we do grind them. The problem, if we would have to tear open all of those bags to see what was in them, because a lot of times you'll find that those are down in the bag itself, so it's not something we can see from the surface or the open part of the bag. So yes, we do screening in case that happens. We have a level of screening that we do on the product as well. But the problem that you run into is to get every small particle size out makes it almost very difficult to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, I see this in my neighborhood, Ron, where folks are cleaning up their yard and, with winter snow melt, you get plastic bags and other debris, and they just chuck it right into the yard waste bag. I try to give a friendly reminder to my neighbors, but you can't catch them all, right?
Yeah, and there's no malice or forethought. I think that for the most part, they're putting it in from their yards, and that's kind of things that make it very cumbersome to try to manage.
Yeah. Real quick, I had a question from an audience member. What is OSB material?
OSB is a particle material. Instead of plywood, which we typically know, there's a plywood that's a less expensive one, and they glue particles together to make that plywood material, and it has glue and adhesives in it. So when we grind, or if we grind that material, those glues and adhesives are the problem. The wood particle things are not the problem. It's the wood and adhesives that they use to join that together that creates the problem down the road with your plants and pets and things like that.
Yeah, do you know an application of when that OSB lumber would be used?
You'll see that on roofing and flooring in homes. A lot of that is used there because of the cost factor. It does a really good job in that application. The problem with it is when they strip it off, there's only certain places that you can take that, because what do you do with it? It doesn't biodegrade. And the problem that you run into is if you grind it, now you have the adhesives and glues that make
Right.
it not as green as it could be.
Yeah.
So go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say that's helpful for those that maybe aren't as knowledgeable of you in this industry. So yeah, we'd love to hear a little bit more about how you transform our everyday yard waste into that valuable product, mulch, that you're able then to resell to Franklin County residents.
Yeah, it's a really refined program. When we get it in, a couple of things that are important to us from a longevity standpoint, we've kind of established this over the last 40 years, is making sure that the product comes out as a high quality product, and making sure that there's no bug larvae or weed follicles in there by the aging process. This product, after it's ground, will typically be at 160-degree temperature, sometimes a little bit less than that, sometimes more, depending upon the temperature outside. So the first thing that we do is we grind the material when it initially comes in. So when it comes in, we'll put it through a slow speed grinder to grind up the material to get it in chunk size so we can wedge it in a manner that will allow it to age properly. Then the second step that we do is we will take the material and reduce it. As we age it, it reduces the pathogens that will be in that product. It'll eliminate those over time as we allow that temperature to cure over more and more weeks. Then we do a second and third grind on the material, and screen the material just after that. So it'll come straight out of these grinders, and then it'll go into a screener to eliminate and separate the particle sizes, and also eliminate any paper waste that may be in there as well. It'll screen that out as well. So we can do not only particle sizing, but we can eliminate some of the paper that comes out of there that may have been missed on the first inspection. And then we will color the product to using a vegetable grade food dye. We'll use that to color. It's a hardwood product, but it colors it in black or brown or red, different configurations, because the nice thing about being the manufacturer is we can produce a lot of different mulches that allow not only different qualities to our soil amendment, but more importantly than that, it will allow different aesthetics. So some people may like brown, some people may like black, some people may like pine products, and we have all of those that come out of this process.
Yeah, and then how long would you say the process is from start to finish?
I would say probably we wedge the product, especially the time of year. Obviously, when we're in season, it's a less time frame, but we cure the product for at least 30 days to 60 days, and sometimes we age it longer depending upon whether you're going out of season in August, September, as we go through the winter months. That will allow it to cook longer and longer, and just make sure that all the pathogens and weed follicles and bug larvae are out of it as well. So you never have to worry about when you get something saying, hey, there's termites in my mulch. Well, it's 160 degrees for months. There's no possible way that could have survived that process.
That's great. So I think we have some different stages of the process. So can you walk us through what these pictures represent here, Ron?
Yes, this is the far left picture is when the product comes in initially into our sites. They'll come in, we will move the product around, and we will move it over to the middle picture, which is a low speed grinder. This is an expensive grinder that will allow the product to be ground slowly and into larger particle sizes. And then what we'll do is as we grind it, then we put it on a stacker, 80-foot or 100-foot stacker, as you can see to your far right. What that does is that allows the oxygen to circulate through the first grind material, and it'll allow it to wedge that into to a cone. And then we will either leave it in that cone size, or we'll move it into a wedge, which could be several feet in the air, that we will push up the hills with our bulldozers and machines and allow it to finish the aging process. Some of the products that we make out of this, as I said, is a variety of different products depending upon whether you're using mulch around your home, putting mulch in your flower beds, and or your playground areas in the back. I think it's critical to understand that we live in a clay-based soil, so our soil is nutrient deficient. Most of the soils that you'll find within our region are amended if they're using it to plant things in, whether it's vegetable gardens or flower beds, or just the beds around your house, or the grass in which you grow in your yard. And I think that one of the critical things are we have to make sure that we stimulate the nutrient factor, coupled with the fact that we have to offset the pH and alkalinity depending upon what you're using it for, like vegetable gardens or like planting in flower gardens. Pine bark is critical to offsetting that pH and alkalinity in that soil. So those plants will thrive when you use that type of pine bark, the ground pine bark. You'll find that in most of your plants that you buy at any garden center, coupled with the fact that you'll see them utilize these as they mix them with different flowering or vegetable gardens. And that really, really helps with the growth of that. But some of the Ohio Mulch, we always have said with our 19 locations that we're a one-stop shop. We have, all landscape and gardening needs, a variety of mulches, soils, gravels, and stones, and more importantly, grass seeds, fertilizer, gloves, rakes, everything but live plants. Some of these products, as you can see listed on the top, is all hardwood products for the most part until we get into our pines, but those are the ones that feed the soil each year. So if you remember back 15, 20 years ago, cypress was the only type of mulch that really was popular in the area. And cypress composts very slowly. And so after so many years, you would have to remove some of that cypress mulch because it would stand up in the beds. And the other thing was it didn't create the nutrient factor like the hardwood mulches do. So in the top right screen, you'll see our 1942. It's a triple process black mulch that we use. It's one of our top sellers, very popular within the Columbus market. We also have a different configuration. We have 3 different types of products, a double process, a triple process, and a quad, which you won't find many places. And that all that is screened out the fine. So some people like the hardwood mulch that's really coarse in material. Some of them like it fine, and we have all of those. We also have in the top right is a cypress. We're one of the only companies that produce 100% pure cypress mulch. A lot of it you'll see when you buy cypress mulches are amended with pines and different types of materials because cypress is so rare and it's not readily available. We produce it in our plant in Homerville, Georgia, and that is the top right bag is 100% pure cypress, not amended with anything. And it's a really, really high quality product, lasts a long time. And the nice thing about cypress is it has thujone, which is a natural ingredient that's within the wood itself that rejects insects, so you don't have those types of insects that come in. And that's the cedar and pine, or cedar and cypress do have that in there, which a lot of people like. They like the smell of it, coupled with the fact they like that it does prevent insect infiltration as well. We also have playground mulch that we use, and we provide this to homeowners and commercial applications as well. It meets all the requirements for playgrounds and deadfall and things of that is required in a lot of the upper end programs that use that material. And then the last is the mini pine, the pine products, and the pine products are sold in different nugget sizes. The mini pine fines is what you'll find within a lot of their garden areas and flowering plants.
That's great. I think and that's just a little snapshot of the products. I think when I was on your site, there's at least 4 pages of products. So you have a lot of options out there. Anything else that you want to impart, Ron, on our viewers today about Ohio Mulch and what they can do to make sure that yard waste is prepped and ready to be turned into mulch for you?
Yeah, I think that one thing that we've done for the last 40 years is we've provided an environment that's conducive for homeowners to come into our facilities, not only drop off their yard waste, to be able to pick up in a clean environment that's friendly. They can come in and they can drop off their yard waste. If they have any questions, we can answer the questions specific to what they're dropping off, or more importantly, the applications that they may need for products that we may have to help them. And I think that, as you said before, to your point about the amount of products that we have, we truly look each year at the products that we can introduce to the marketplace to provide what we've always tried to accomplish, which is cleaner, greener, better. How do we do that collectively within the communities we serve? And I think that that's an important factor that we do daily. Our people are well versed on that and can help us when you come into the stores, or even call. You can call. We have a call center that they can call. If they call our corporate office, and they can answer the questions over the phone. We'll be more than happy to even come out and take a look and see what their application may need as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. So Ohio Mulch does provide like at-home services, or they'll provide consultation even.
Yes, we have a call center that if they call into any of the stores, we can answer those questions, coupled with the fact that we have a call center that that they can call into and they can answer questions. We have a chat that we do as well. So that starts up during our prime season. And so it answers the questions that they may have, or maybe they have, they're looking to do something different and they wanted to see how it might affect their plants or their garden areas as well.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I think now is probably we're getting into like your really busy season, right? People are itching to get outside and clean their yards up, and they're starting to, I don't know, what is your busiest season, Ron? Would you say spring and fall?
Yeah, our spring and fall, a lot of people, spring is when people get their yards ready and obviously get their mulches in play. But I think one thing that's critical to understand is from a plant standpoint, as we migrate into the winter months, it's important to keep the plants as warm, especially the root balls, over that time frame. A lot of people don't understand that sometimes it's important to put that mulch and move it up around the plant roots and balls, or add additional mulch around there, because if you can pick up 5 to 15 degrees on that root ball, it makes a big difference, especially with those the winters like we had this year, where the temperatures are at a low point for a considerable amount of time. It especially on those plants that are a little bit more, the rhododendrons and the hibiscus and things of that nature that may be a little bit more not in tune to hardy for those types of weather conditions. So.
Yeah, that's great. And I also speak to, I've seen a few comments through the chat come in about, well, I just want to leave my leaves on my lawn. Yes, absolutely. Like Ohio Mulch is here as a service provider to meet the needs of overflow yard waste. Okay. Some people have really large yards, and they simply just don't have the ability to mulch all of their leaves into their yard or put them in their garden beds. And or maybe they don't want the aesthetics of the leaves being on their lawn. And that's really where Ohio Mulch comes into play, is servicing the needs of the folks that have different wants and desires for what their yards look like. But if you're someone that prefers mulching the leaves or leaving the leaves on the lawn all winter long, that's great too. It's all about your personal preferences, right? There are benefits to leaving the leaves, to mulching the leaves, incorporating them back into your soil. Same thing for the grass clippings.
Yes.
I mulch my grass clippings and put them right back onto my lawn. But you have to do it. That means you have to mow more frequently, right? Because you don't want to have a bunch of grass clippings building up and suffocating your lawn. So there's no right size fits all for this program. And Ohio Mulch is really there to provide the service to process all the overflow yard waste that is in our community, and they can turn it into mulch. So one tip that I like to share with folks, if you do have excess leaves in your yard and you're willing to explore maximizing on those nutrients, is to make a leaf mold. So I have a couple of pictures here, 2 different ways that you can do it. I'm a lazy gardener, so I do it in plastic bags. And so I just poke holes in my black plastic trash bags. I reuse the same trash bags over and over, fill the bag up, put some water in it. Within a couple months, the leaves will break down, they'll biodegrade in the bag, and it becomes this awesome nutrient-dense leaf mold that you can then add to the tops of your garden beds, add it into your flower beds, really wherever you want. And that keeps all the nutrients right in your yard. And then that's your fertilizer for the year. And so that's what I do in my backyard. And you can even sprinkle it too in your lawn. That's what I do with my compost. And a pro tip I'll say is, if you are a backyard composter and you've got a lot of leaves, keep your leaves, okay? They're a great source of carbon. They'll break down really quickly in your bin. One way to help accelerate decomposition is to mulch them up in your mower. So those last couple fall mows, put the bag on your mower to pick up all the leaves, and then keep them to stockpile all throughout the year to add to your compost bin. That'll save you money, and then you don't have to worry about setting them out for the yard waste pickup service. Ohio Mulch is happy to take them, but if you want to keep them for your compost, you absolutely should, because it's a free source and it keeps all those nutrients right in your yard.
Amy, that's a really good point. And I think that if I may, years ago, we used to take, hundreds of semi-loads of leaves in from the city, and we would just let them age. We would age them first. And to your point, we would age them and then grind them like maybe 6 months, 8 months down the road, and then we would wedge them for a year. So they would be there the entire time as a year worth of aging. But when you grind those leaves up, which we do now, we have learned through the process, your point, as you grind those up, they compost so nicely, and the nutrient factor that it brings is well worth the time spent. Yeah,
especially as we both said many times, with our heavy clay soils, it's a great amendment to any of your garden beds. It does wonders for any fruits or vegetables that you're growing. And it's free. You don't have to go out and buy anything really, right? So good on the pocketbook, good on the environment. You got excess materials, you got big twigs, you're tearing down a bush. I think that's wonderful to give that to Ohio Mulch. They'll make good use of that material, which might be much harder for a backyard composter to break down and compost. All right, so I think that concludes our conversation today. I did receive a couple questions that came through the chat, Ron, that I'm gonna send your way. So someone wanted to know about the brown paper bags. Do you know where folks can buy those?
Yes, we have them at all of our locations that you can bring in. If you have those bags, one thing that we do is if you purchase those bags from us, you can drop them off at our store locations for free. So you can just drop them off and bring them over no matter what, whether you're outside the spectrum of Franklin County, you can drop those off at any of our locations as well. But you can purchase those, through Lowe's and Home Depot as well. There's a lot of different places that sell those, but they are biodegradable. We've had people in the past that have used brown bags that were not, and we would have them literally for 5-10 years that we would still see the products in our yard, that we had to just dispose of because they wouldn't biodegrade. So just make sure that they are biodegradable bags, because that's the component to making sure that we provide a high quality product or anyone who uses those.
And so hearing you say that other folks have placed product in non-biodegradable brown bags, would you consider like a grocery store bag? Is that something that you wouldn't want?
Correct. That is correct. Yes.
Okay. There's no guarantee that it might have like some sort of waxy coating, is kind of what I was thinking, some sort of plastic wax that makes it so it doesn't truly break down.
Right. And we thought that we'd push them off to the side and that they would over time, but that didn't happen. So we just ended up having to dispose of them.
Okay. Great. And then someone had asked too, if the brown paper bags, say you have an excess number of them at the end of the season, are they recyclable? I think the answer is yes. They would be recyclable because they're made out of paper. I don't see why not, but I would encourage folks to hold on to their bags for the following season. They're not very cheap. So I got tired of spending the money on them. So that's why I waited until I had an opportunity with my broken trash can to use it as my reusable bin. I like the idea of saving money and having something reusable. So I would encourage folks, if they've got leftover bags at the end of the season, just hold on to them till next year's season.
Yes, that's a great idea.
No reason to recycle them when they can be reused. All right, well, I think those are all the questions. I want to thank you, Ron, for your time today and in addressing oh, okay. Someone had clarified. I was asking about the plastic bags that they sell their mulch in. Oh, so the plastic bags thank you for clarifying. The plastic bags that the mulch is sold in, those are not recyclable. Unfortunately, they're contaminated, with mulch. It's very hard to clean that type of plastic once it's had the mulch. The same thing goes for like bird food bags, salt bags that have salt in them, that type of plastic film, the plastic recyclers don't want. So some retailers will take back plastic film and bags, like Giant Eagle, Kroger, Target, Meijer. They have a location that you can deposit those plastic films, but they do not want mulch bags, ice bags, things that would be prone to being really wet, really dirty, because that can contaminate the whole batch. So thank you for that clarification on that. As a friendly reminder, this webinar is recorded. We will post it. It'll come to your email tomorrow around the 1 o'clock hour. You're welcome to share the webinar with any friends or family that you think would benefit from the information. We will be posting it on our YouTube channel as well. We have sessions, monthly sessions that talk about how to recycle right. We're doing one in April on sustainable spring cleaning. That's going to be on the 29th. And then we also offer business webinars. So if you're from a business or you are work in an office space, a warehouse space, and you want to help implement recycling where you work, consider joining one of our upcoming webinars. All of our webinars are posted on SWACO.org under the webinars page. I want to thank Ohio Mulch for their expertise and all the hard work they do to ensure our yard waste gets a second life as mulch here in our community. And thank you everyone for joining us today. Take care. Have a good day.
Amy, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.